Hello, this is Mrs. Robertson, and we're with our third period class today going over Unit 2A Study Guide number 2, the second study guide to help us get ready for tonight. We'll have study guide number 3 to do for homework tonight. If you do all three of those, it's going to be hard not to get an A or a B on the test tomorrow. Here we go. In problem number 1, we wrote our equation. And she wanted to make 5 hair ribbons. Each ribbon takes 2 1/4 yards. 5 times 2 1/4 equals our mystery number n. They wanted us to write an equation. That's an equation. Then we have to change them to improper fractions so we can multiply straight across. 5/1 times 9/4 equals 45/4. 45/4 yards. But we know that when you go to a store, you don't say it that way. You simplify it and say you will need 11 1/4 yards. Any questions? All right, I will be collecting these at the end of the class. So if you didn't have it written down, lost your paper, you need to have all of this written down so I can collect it and give you a grade for your effort on these problems. Number 2. How much of a pie will each person get if 6 people share 1/2 of the pie equally? Write an equation. All right, so this is going to be 1/2. Half of the pie is going to be cut up into 6 more pieces. It's going to be divided by 6. All right, equals our mystery number. That's our equation. Now we have to get the answer. What fraction of the pie will each person get? Well, we have to write it as 1/2 divided by 6/1. Now, what do you do when you divide fractions? You change it to a multiplication problem. And you're going to do the reciprocal of the number behind the division sign, sometimes called keep, change, flip. So you're going to have 1/2, change the sign, and flip 6/1 to 1/6. And that gives you the answer 1/12. So how much of the pie will each person get? They'll get 1/12 of the pie. Okay? Again, if you draw a picture of it, you have half a pie. It's going to be cut up between 6 people. Now, those are not 1/6 of the pie because the other part of the pie is going to be cut up into 6s, so it's a total of 12 pieces. Okay, so these 1 piece is now 1/12 of the pie. Number 3, 2/3 of a cup is 1 serving. How many servings are in 1 cup? You're going to have 1 cup divided by 2/3. All right, so how many servings are in a cup? Oh, that's where they want the answer blank. This is the equation. Write an equation. 1 divided by 2/3 equals our mystery number n. So what we're going to have, we're going to rename 1 as 1/1 times 3/2, and the answer is 3/2 or 1½ servings. So the answer up here is 1½ servings. Let's go back and check. Is this what the question is asking? How many servings are in 1 cup? There are 1½ servings. That makes sense because 1 serving is less than a cup. It's 2/3. Okay? Any questions on that problem? All right, now we're going to go on to number 4. In number 4, we have to find the greatest common factor. There are 2 ways of doing these problems. You can do the grid, or you can list factors. So when you do the grid, you put these 2 numbers, 72 and 16. Then you ask, is there a number that can divide 72 and 16? Yes. 3, is that what you said? 8. Oh, yeah, 8. Oh, you went with a large number. 8 will divide 72 9 times, and 8 divides 16 2 times. Is there a number that will divide 9 and 2? No. So the answer for the greatest common factor is just going to be 8. So it is an 8. There's nothing for 8 to multiply there. Now, the other way of doing it is listing the factors of 72 and 16. The factors of 72 are 1 times 72, 2 times 36, 3 times 24, 4 times 18, 6 times 12, and 8 times 9. Then you list your factors for 16. The factors for 16 are 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. The largest one that they both have is an 8. Yes? Okay, in number 3. Oh, that's a 5 instead of a 3?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So, since it's a 5 2/5, it's so tiny, I thought it was a 3. So let's do it this way. Since it is a fifth, you'll have 1 divided by 2/5. So that equals 1 times 5 over 2. And you'll have 5 halves, which equals 2½ servings. So if you thought that it was a 5, which it really was, your answer is 2½ servings. If you thought it was a 3, it's 1½ servings. Okay, thank you for pointing that out, because I do believe if I look close, it's a 5 instead of a 3. All right, now let's go to the next problem, and we're trying to find the greatest common factor, the largest number that can divide a 44 and a 32. What will divide a 44 and a 32, Elliot? 4. So we're going to do 4 times 11 and 4 times 8. Is there anything that divides an 11 or an 8? No. So right now, there's nothing for 4 to multiply with. The answer is just going to be a 4. Okay, the greatest common factor is 4. If you list your factors for 44 and factors for 32, 1 times 44, 2 times 22, and 4 times 11. Your factors for 32, 1 times 32, 2 times 16, and 4 times 8. The largest number they both have is a 4. Now let's do the next one. What's our greatest common factor between 18 and 20? Well, if you do the grid, what will divide an 18 and a 20? 2. So we have 2 times 9 is 18, and 2 times 10 is 20. Is there anything that divides a 9 and a 10? No. Your greatest common factor is going to be 2. Now, the other way is to list your factors. Factors of 18 are 1 times 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 6. The way you get 20 is 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5. What's the largest number they both have? It's a 2. Any questions on how to do those both ways? You only have to do it one way on the test. Number 5, we're going to do least common multiples. Now they have the L. So when we do the grid, you do the left side and the bottom. You multiply them all together. Okay, so in this one here, I'm going to make my grid for number 5. and you're going to put 6 and 33. What will divide a 6 and a 33? 3 will. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 11 is 33. Is there anything that can divide a 2 and an 11? No. Least common multiple, so it makes an L. 2 times 3 times 11. So the least common multiple, 2 times 3 is 6 times 11. It's going to be 66. Now, the other way you can do this is you list multiples of them. I start with the largest. Will 6 divide 33? No. 33 times 2 is 66. Will 6 divide 66? Yes. The least common multiple would be 66. Now let's do the grid for 16 and 10. What will divide a 16 and a 10? 2. 2 times 8 and 2 times 5. Is there anything that can divide a 8 and a 5? No. Make your L. It's going to be 2 times 8 times 5. So 2 times 8 times 5 equals 80. Now, if we list our multiples of 16, 16 times 1, 16 times 2 is 32. 16 times 3 is 48. 16 times 4 is 64. 16 times 5 is 80. So, yep, 10 divides 80. That's the first one that you would have as a match. Any questions on how to do that? The next one, we're trying to find the least common multiple of 7 and 30. I'll just draw my box here. Is there anything that can divide a 7 and a 30? No, 7's a prime number. So you just multiply 7 times 30, and the answer, I actually should circle it in pink. The answer for that one is 210. 7 times 30 is 210. That's the first number that they both can divide. Any questions? And if I listed my multiples of 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 210. And 7 will divide 210. Let's go to the back of the worksheet. As you notice, these are very similar to the problems we did yesterday. So I think you should be fine on this. Number 6. Wanamaker turned an empty lot into a community garden with rectangular garden beds. Let's draw a rectangle. John was excited to be the first to work in the garden. He planted 3/4, that is 3/4, isn't it, kids? Of 1/2. So he plants a half of the garden, and in that garden, he plants 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. He plants 3 of those pieces. Okay, so how much did he plant? Well, we have to cut the other half into these. So how many pieces is it cut into? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he planted 3/8. That's how you would do it if you draw a diagram. Now it wants us to write an equation with equal signs. All you do is take 3/4 of means times 1/2 equals the mystery number. How much of the garden did he plant? Well, 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. 3/8 of the garden. Got to give it a label. Any questions? Now let's do number 7. House Pizza makes 2 types of pizzas, pepperoni and cheese. They bake a cheese pizza every 6 minutes and a pepperoni every 10. If they start baking the pizzas at 10:30. At what time are the cheese and pepperoni pizzas baked and done at the same time? You have to find the least common multiple between 6 and 10. All right, so we write down 6, 12, then in 18 minutes, then in 24 minutes, and 30 minutes. For the 10-inch, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. When are they going to be in the oven at the same time? At 30 minutes. Now, what's 10:30 plus 30 minutes? What time will that be? Yes. 11 o'clock a.m. Any questions? So you would have 30 minutes, and you have to add 30 minutes to 10:30. You can all do that problem. That's not hard. Okay, now we're going to do our division problems. In these problems, you do the keep, change, flip, which is another word for reciprocal. The math word is reciprocal. Times 10 over 6. If you write 30 over 30, that's correct. What's another name for 30 over 30? 1 is the best answer. You have to show writing that as an improper fraction. So you have 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14/3. Now we're going to change that to multiplication, and you're going to flip the second fraction. So that's going to be times 9/7. Does everyone see that? Some of your eyes aren't looking up here at the board. Do you see this? So now, 9 times 14 is 126. 3 times 7 is 21. Now, I'll be honest, I don't like multiplying by big numbers if I don't have to. I could do a shortcut. 3 and 9 have common factors. 3 divides 3 once, and 3 will divide 9 3 times. 7 and 14 have the common factor 7. 7 goes into 7 once, 7 goes into 14 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. The answer, when you simplified it, is 6. Did you know that 21 times 6 is 126? So I will still count this right, but that's the easiest answer. 126 over 21 equals 6. Now we're going to go on to the next problem. 5/9 times 3 over 2. You're going to get 15 over 18. And if you simplify before you multiply, you're going to get 5/6. Both of those are correct. The next problem, I'm gently going to pick 3 up and put a 1 under it. Now I can do keep, change, flip. 3/5 times 1/3. That equals 3/15. But some of you say, oh, there's a 3 on top, a numerator, and 3 is a denominator. They can turn into 1s, and that answer is 1/5. They are the same thing, a different name for the same amount. The last problem that we're going to do, 5 times, we have to change them both to improper fractions. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. 11/5 divided by 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Okay, now you keep it, change the sign, and flip. You end up with 44 over 65, and that is your final answer. Are there any questions? All right. Then we're going to do study guide number 3 for your homework tonight.